Hello guys and welcome to TFT Grand Finals, game number 1. Enjoy.
So this is the first championship where we have like a two, right? Two at the same like a lobby at a time. I think there was like one more in the past. But the good thing about having multiple people in the same region is that they can force the meta into their direction. Since the units share the same pool, if they go for similar cost carries but different units, they will have the upgrade advantage.
Speaking of the more broader picture, reminding everybody we are in a checkmate format and we will be needing players to get to 18 points first and then get a win to actually take this one home. Baby, what would be your approach to a tournament like this? Do you go for that first rate playstyle from the get-go? Do you try to be safer and then really dish out the more aggressive comps?
Now, you don't need to get first place from the beginning. You want to get first place after you get your checkpoint mark. So it isn't really necessary to just gamble all in for, let's say, Underground 7 Heights, like every single game from the beginning. You can just see what your hands are, and if you are offered a safe option during the first two games, it's still possible. And cost hero augment in the first game of the world. Oh my god, now this is going to be very, very RNG based because some people will be offered
very RNG
I mean skill based. Some people will be offered top tier 3 cost augments. Some people will be offered like a medium tier, like a 3 cost augments, and that could be a gap. There will be a lot of people who will maybe consider undergrounds because we do see a lot of Israels and Zvi's being spread across the map because they do want to get that underground bonus. They do want to get that first place potential. Let's see what they're aiming after.
Okay, something that is standing out to me right away, Bintum and Enzo both picking up a LeBlanc augment. Enzo is on the support, whereas Bintum is on the carry version here. That is usually a little bit of trouble when players are contesting in a direction. Now, of course, with the LeBlanc, we've seen different variations, not necessarily go very high, but you could go further into the admins, go more for a Warwick-centered comp, or you could go into those spell slingers.
I feel a lot of people felt pressure to go for 3-cost hero augment because 3-cost hero augments are a bit stronger than a 2-cost hero augment in general. But sometimes, if you're just not really offered a good angle, a good deck that's like not contested, then it could actually be a trap. So we'll see exactly how these players solve it out.
We have the two against each other. We see Bintum has already gone through and slammed the Archangels, but doesn't win the round anyway. So an interesting start for them. As you said, the 3-star LeBlanc will be very far away indeed. Also, Enzo, representing him, you mentioned before, in the regional competition, had an incredible run of first place finishes.
So if you look at the hero augments so far, we see Winds of the Wanderer, we see Time and a Half, we see Rising Spellforce. So we see multiple people trying to go for 2 costs, like a 3-star, like as they are in the get. And the most powerful like choices I see amongst these is probably Time and a Half from Shimapen, our fine Japanese representative, and maybe Rising Spellforce from Setsuka with the underground first place potential.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to check in with Setsuko in just a little bit, see if he actually has those undergrounds online. We saw some really dominant performances from him, specifically on the undergrounds, being able to win streak with them on the back of some 2-star upgrades, and he's been doing fantastic for himself. So that could very much spell out a win if that is the case, but he is losing the first round here, or the second one actually, so maybe going for a more losing streak kind of.
So right now, Shimpen's trying to look towards the mid game. He's gonna get the severe 2-star for the econ, but not yet. He's just using Animus build up, so we'll have to see how it goes. And we're right now looking at Setsuka's board, and oh no! Where is his undergrounds?
Yeah, not here from the very start of the game, which is going to hurt his long-term prospects. Again, we notice we have got some Star Guardians on the board for Setsuka, so maybe that's again going to be the route. But something we have not seen very often at all, we've got Endless Darkness Vex, so they're kind of giving a Hearts effect to the board on cast.
Okay, this is a really interesting build. I mean, not the Rama's 2-star. Of course not. Don't look at the Rama's 2-star. Focus on the Vex. This is a very rare deck that people try not to go for if possible. This is the Endless Darkness Vex, which gives the team a lot of ability power and a lot of like ability like a damage. It is a lobby filled with 3-cost carries, so he might be able to go for a 3-cost 3-star. But the core of this deck is to make sure that the front line, mostly that Rama's 2, buys enough time for Vex to scale, and he is going to go for a Riftwalker mascot composition.
It's worth noting as well, the Tech Summons bringing out something we haven't seen for a little while, the Winds of the Wanderer Yasuo. So, as you said, a ton of rerolls should be coming through. A pretty varied first lobby.
Absolutely. The Spirit of the Exile also has been picked up by one of the players here. So we're going to get a little bit of everything, hopefully, in the later stages. I'm still a little bit impressed that early on we have a Rammus 2 on board. It's definitely a very strong unit, gives you that CC, gives you that tankiness, which is, in the very early stages, just so valuable.
Now, since the Kurizel is an egg, and since the lobby is filled with 2 and 3 costs, most people start re-rolling at stage 3 1 and stage 3 2. So for stage 2, people are going to go easy. Some people win streak, some people lost streak, but it's not going to be a big deal. So we're going to see exactly how, when the egg procs, how much stronger these boards become, and will the players be able to snowball that into their advantage or disadvantage?
Well, Flancy, our only Chinese representative with a pretty strong board to start building that snowball. The Anima squad is online. Reverberation, thank you very much, production, showing that. So we'll be sharing across a very powerful shield to another unit. Certainly in the long rounds, that's a huge amount of extra tankiness.
I mean, this is a very rare deck. Now, many people do think that Vayne is the main carry for Anima squads, but there is a version where you can go for an unkillable Riven that provides so much shield value for your entire team, and that does have a lot of value, but you do need to scale pretty well, and I'm very curious if Clancy will be able to snowball that to his advantage.
Speaking of the Anima squad, I kind of have to call him out. Shimapen is in this lobby. He has been playing Anima squad a lot in the past couple of days, and usually what we see from him are those Vayne 3-star carries that just are very strong, but usually not strong enough to bring him all the way. He managed 1 first place with it, and other than that, just kind of scooting by the top 4. I expect him to change it up just a little bit for today, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's so important here in the top 8. Our players are playing against each other, potentially, 6 or more times. They've already got a pretty good read on what everyone was playing in day 1 and 2. So, if we have players who are known for a particular composition, you're going to hesitate just a little bit more to dive into it. It lets you know, as in this case, that the person who's known for it is going in a different direction.
Okay, we are seeing a man who is currently being more blessed, all right? An early Rammus 2-star, early forecast 1-star, Velvet into a double damage itemization Vex in the lobby. Oh, wow, I think we got our first win of the game.
All right, we'll see how it goes. He is on 100 HP and streaking, like you said, but there is another player that is trying to protect that streak with Enzo up there. They're not facing each other, so they could both potentially continue their streak. YBY1 did it, and Enzo will do it too. 2 players that are starting to pressure down a little bit, and if you're looking across the board, Setsuko playing for that very open losing streak, sacrificing a lot of health on the back of trying to get to that Ezreal. But we will see how he does. 72, still a lot. So still a lot of chances to get back on top.
Now, this is a really interesting deck from Enzo. That is Mirror Image LeBlanc with an Ox Force duelist base. So he's trying to go for like a Twist Fate Ox Force into his endgame composition while using Mirror Image for pure stats and a win streak during the early mid game. This is a very beautiful a play from Enzo right here for sure.
Of course, we know gold is very important when you're looking to re-roll. Currently, Shimmerpen and Setsuko have the most gold in the lobby. Everyone else hanging around 30.
And just to bring you a little bit of information from our admin, Setsuko still hasn't found the undergrounds. He is lost streaking with 5 losses down without undergrounds, just trying to go for that economic angle that you were talking about. But coming back to Enzo here, he is a fan of admins. He played it a couple of times yesterday. We've seen a lot of flexibility around admins with a Belveth flexed in with some mechas. Normally, Mecha Samira more of a thing. For Enzo, it is definitely his forte.
Okay, so there's a lot of interesting things going on in this board at the moment. Is that a Jhin?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a level 5 Jhin?
Sure. YBY1 finds Rammus 2, finds Belveth, finds Jhin. Why not, honestly?
Yeah, having the Zac online from the very beginning is fantastic.
It's their first championship. Give them a break.
Wow, he is really bringing it into this game for sure. Not only did he find the Jhin early, he also has a Velvet for a lot of DPS potential. He's got Zac and Rammus by time, and he's gonna deal a lot of damage, pressure the other players in this lobby for sure.
YBY1 keeps that win streak going, heading into second augment. Enzo still up in the air, well at the bottom of the table. We've got a lot of damage being handed out
Augments.
with 2 win streaking players.
All right.
Oh, gold.
Golden augments usually a preferred option, I would say. Prismatic's usually a little bit more pressure.
Oh,
we see
there's
some instant picks being committed here.
There's a lot of good augments in the lobby. We got Exiles, we got Trade Sectors, we got Thrill of the Hunt, we got Jewel Lotus. So players have a chance to decide between where they want more econ to find more upgrades or get combat augments to get more value. And oh, Infiniteam's spat found from Shimapin here. What do you think about this, guys?
So interestingly enough, I called Shimapin out for being one of the players that went for a lot of Anima squad. He had 2 wins in the entire tournament thus far, and one of them was with Infiniteam. So I'm pretty happy about his position here. Has that emblem already picked up, was an instant pick, and is on the Sivir carry augment, so in a great position to get this running.
As you noted before, the 2-star coming in for the Sivir will be important for increasing the gold and allowing for further moving up towards the 3-star Sivir, of course, who'll be absolutely printing cash up against Tech Summers right now, who has committed, for, of course, further down the duelist line. The Winds of the Wonder Yasuo isn't fully online as of yet, but the threat remains.
So right now, this is the strategy that Japan brought. He is all-inning down to 0 gold at like a stage like a 3-2 to find all his upgrades to raise the tempo, but it took him too much gold to find his current upgrade, so he's not really at an advantage. He's not really that happy in the situation. Oh, and the egg gives 1 component, a bow.
And about 12 gold. That's what Mortdog said.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to keep Shimapin alive, but you're right. This is a precarious situation economically. I can't draw my eyes away from Setsuko, though, at the bottom with 49 HP. The board is coming together. The underground is finally here, but surely this is vastly too late to make a big cash out.
This is really awkward of a spot for Setsuko to be in. I mean, he did put in undergrounds because it doesn't make him weaker. So putting in undergrounds does not make him significantly weaker, so he's going to get maybe 1 or 2 heists, but 1 or 2 heists doesn't really help out this composition at all. Right now, Setsuko's very low in HP, so he can't go for the 3 heists for Prismatic and 4 heists for Force of Natures. So he's actually in a situation where he might just lose a lot of HP, but thankfully, Israel is actually a very strong composition, so let's hope it can hold on.
Yeah, definitely wasn't enough to dish out enough damage against that aim assist LeBlanc that we saw on the side of Bintum, but we are going to hop into the carousel. There's a Warwick. For the admin players, that might be interesting.
Yeah, there's also a Nico there with a sword. Potentially could be a way into Oxford's spell slingers. Of course, we haven't seen that coming together quite as of yet, but it's always an option as we go forward in the game.
So right now, there are some interesting forecast-like options such as Warwick and Nico, but the carousel so far have been very, very plain. 1 itemized each plus egg and 1 itemized each component. So we have a very normal pace lobby so far. We shall see how players prepare into stage 4.
It's worth noting YBY1 is still undefeated, coming close to the end of stage 3. Enzo has not managed the same, but Flancy from China has stepped up with a win streak of his own.
Yeah, absolutely. 94 win streak is not something to snot at. It means you lost maybe somewhere in the first couple of rounds, and from then on out, it was all good. We're being shown Bintum's admin here is on the additional health, has that trade sector, knowing that he's a little bit competed on the LeBlanc, definitely should help him to get that LeBlanc 3 come alive.
I feel so. This is a very common strategy that we use here in Korea. We use LeBlanc 2-star for win streaking for stage 2 and 3, and with the excess gold, we are supposed to look for 3-star, but right now the order is a bit like opposite. He does have 6 LeBlancs with the 1 in the orb, and he does have a very decent like a board, but this comp is supposed to win early, lose late, not lose early, and hope to win late. So not a good spot for Bintum here at the moment.
Yeah, and with the reroll of Tech Summers coming online even more strongly, 3 items for the Yasuo, things are looking a little spicy towards the bottom of the table.
Yeah, Setsuko is on 33 health, and at that point, you just have to take what you can get. He does pick up a little bit of gold, goes up to 60. Maybe that helps him to find the units. We are looking for an Ezreal potentially is picking up some units along the way, but does he go further or does he want to keep those 50 econ? Looks like he's not daring to go any further down the line.
Now, this is a very unlucky spot for Setsuko here at the moment. I mean, he couldn't find undergrounds, which was what's supposed to feed his a composition for at least a 3 or 4 heights at the beginning, and his roll down, as you can see, he only has 3 Israels and 4 Vi's, even though he's been ecoing to the full for this a game. I think this is looking like a very unfortunate unfortunate start for NA like represented right here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what it would mean for players like perhaps Setsuko, who goes out in 8th here. You mentioned, we're going to have several games going, but if you go out in 8th, first of all, when we get to the checkpoint part of the tournament, of this final day, you may just be one of the few players who can't win.
He just found a win, though, and that was so important to him as a first statement to possibly turn it around. He has to stop the bleeding to get something done here. Means that he's also going to lose on the losing streak extra econ that he was getting before, but he really can't afford to go much further with players like YBY1 still on 100 HP as we enter Wolves.
Now, this isn't really a usual play that Setsuko plays. Setsuko loves to win streak during the early game and use his flexibility to transition to multiple compositions, so I am quite worried about that. This is something that happens when people try to play for first or 8th, which is something that results of the tournament platform where they are forced to play for force no matter what.
Well, as you pointed out before, this is definitely the time to be trying to play as stable as possible. Make sure you've got a strong foundation for the rest of the day. YBY1, though, this streak has been absolutely cracking. And, it's not a composition we've seen being built this kind of way, very frequently in the tournament at all.
Now, this is really good detail from YBY1. Usually people with a 10 win streak are like, let's chill and Nico. But, what is this?
This is
Yasuo 3-star from our...
Wonder coming alive for Tech Summers has been nerfed just a little bit, but maybe enough to dish out some damage to the rest of the lobby. He's meeting Flancy. Flancy was on a winning streak, has been ended in the previous round, and that is going to turn maybe into a loss streak, but this Yasuo is doing so much damage.
Look how beautiful this deck is. Jewel Gauntlet, Hannah Justice, Quicksilver, Yasuo is 100% quick chance. He has a duelist path to go for 6 duelists into 3 supers for damage. I think Tech Summers might be able to do it.
We've got our last augments coming in. It will be 2 gold alongside the hero augment from before. So the final pieces coming into place here. Perhaps we will see, I think particularly for Setsuko, needing to change his fortunes quite dramatically.
We can see that some of the players have already used their rerolls on the previous gold augment, so they kind of have to take what they're being offered. For a player like Shimapen, who has some pretty good choices, I don't think he's too worried.
Setsuko did manage to find a Vi 3-star, but look, he only has 5 Israels, and finding Israel is an important factor of this game. He uses these gauntlets and take it out for the Jewel Lotus. He does have a Rabadon's ready in case he wants to give it to the Israel as well too. The good thing is that his combat augments are quite decent. Thrilled Hunt for the healing, Jewel Lotus for damage. Let's hope he can survive long enough to find Israel 3-star.
Taking a quick look across the augments picked up, it looks like pretty much everybody has got something solid, but yes, Tech Summers with the newly online Yasuo Battlestar will be tearing through the composition pretty quickly. Keep an eye on the Ezreal.
And not only that, right? He also has a Zephyr to really take out the enemy carry. Does lift up the Ezreal in the beginning.
Heal.
Will it be enough for him? Getting It's not enough. Setsuko keeps on bleeding 19 HP while YBY1 is putting down the foot onto this entire lobby but gets dethroned.
So, baby, talk to me about this here. We've been following Setsuko for a while. Looking at how the lobby is and what the board was like from what we've previously seen, is there anything that can save Setsuko at this point?
Right now, for those who know, Setsuko played this well. He went for a first place winning composition because he wants to become the world champion, but he had the money, he had the econ, he lost a lot of HP, he just couldn't find undergrounds, and he rolled down and just couldn't find Israel, which was the most important unit in this lobby. So, I don't know, he'll just have to find Israel at a very cheap price.
Yeah, we are seeing Shimapen, who's one Sivir away from finding that Sivir 3, which would help him to get back into a more stable position, but with other players also reaching their peaks in this lobby, it is going to be difficult. He is up against Tech Summers and his Yasuo, and you can see the damage of the Hasaki coming through. That is going to hurt.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when you're playing Infinite Team because your board is going to be clubbed. Setsuko takes another hit to drop from 19 to 11. It does not seem like salvation is coming. Shimapen also taking the L there. It's racing Setsuko to the bottom.
I mean, there are currently 3 people that went for a 2-cost reroll, and Tech Summers is the one that succeeded, and the other 2 just could not find their carries. That's where the gap comes in. That's where the HP gap starts. I just really hope they can at least find it for the end for this game.
Yeah, hopefully they will. We'll see how it goes. Setsuko being able to pick up that belt, but with 11 HP, anyone could be his final hit right now, and that is going to mean that he needs to be so careful with his mental going into the next couple of rounds, as everybody is starting to accumulate some points for the checkmate. He's left with one.
Yeah, and if you're an emotional player, taking the L in the first event or first game of the championship is always going to be very tough to get through as well, because you've got time to, especially if you go out early, you've got time to stew between games and try and figure out what on earth went wrong. You really end up overthinking. But for Shimapen, everything is coming together. There's still no third or extra severe to get up to the 3-star, but the board is decent, if not great.
This is such a sad moment for Shimapen and also for Setsuko as well, too. They rolled down to 0, but they just couldn't hit. And now at this point, even if they hit, it's too late because they will be behind on levels. They will be outnumbered. So I don't think they have a good chance right now.
Setsuko going up against Flancy. Flancy, the person who would very much like to see Setsuko go down here, as he's currently holding all of his buys. But is it going to be enough? It will. The Ezreal will go down. Setsuko takes an 8th place in our first game of the last day of the Monsters Attack Championship.
I do bear in mind, of course, Setsuko finished out the previous day in first place. So that's certainly a rude awakening. We knew that the finals would be different than the group stages. We didn't perhaps expect it to be this different.
Well, at least Shimapen did manage to find a 3-star, but that's what happens when you're in a tournament for Worlds. You want to get first place, so Setsuko threw away his original very strong build-up into flex play playstyle to get more first places, but it is gamblish. Undergrounds is either a 1st or an 8th, and unfortunately the dice here turn towards an 8th.
We'll see how it goes for Shimapen. He's up for elimination, maybe. Would so much like to make it to that next PvE round with 9 HP. He is going to face YBY1, though, here, and it's not looking good.
YBY1 is not win streaking anymore, but the board is still absurdly strong. Look at the itemization for the Vex. If she manages to get anywhere near that backline, she's going to tear into them. For Shimapen, gold is waiting. We just win this round. I think he's just about got enough in the tank.
I mean, this is the point where 2-cost 3-stars is strongest, stage 4. Stage 4, when the people get their 2-cost 3-stars online, they do get the advantage, but it's starting with stage 5 where Shimapen's going to struggle, because that's when the 4-cost 2-stars come online.
Well, first he's going to get a little treat from Aurelion Doom here, which is going to help, of course, getting some econ back. We are looking across the board. Replay with only 3 gold seems to have committed quite a lot to keep that win streak alive. Not something we're unfamiliar with. Is on that laser core trend, picked up Spirit of the Exile early on, was competing with Tex Summers with the Yasuo augments, but has found an option to go into this comp without needing the Yasuo that much.
Now, Replay's playstyle is the safer playstyle. It's not playing for first, but he picks a non-reroll deck, a non-riskier deck, uses it to save HP, build up very cleanly, and actually manage to build up into a 4-cost 2-star. This is the safest way to play at the moment in TFT, and for Replay, it's actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we know Laser Core from the group stage being a very, very reliable deck to get you towards that top 4. But for some of our other players, they're building up something a little bit more spicy. We talked about the possibility of the Oxlingers coming back in. For Enzo, that's exactly what's on the cards.
And it's so funny. Every time I look at Enzo's board, he has a Zephyr or a Shroud. It's just something that he loves. I've seen boards from him that shouldn't even have gone into those top 4, but just because he played it out with positioning, with CC, with those extra items, he has managed that travel there. He is going to go up against another player, as we are going to hop over to Shimapen and replay and hope that his Sivir 3 allows him to stay in this round a little bit more. The Warwick is onto him. The scope weapons are really hurting, and he will take a loss here, go down 7th.
Yeah, this is the issue with 2-cost 3-star rerolls, is that unless you are at the same level as 4-cost 2-stars, there is a chance that you might lose to them, and that's what happened. He rerolled, he found it late, he couldn't level, and just got outvalued.
So we're checking with YBY1. Did have a lot of money before, but now has spent a lot of that money to upgrade the board further. So 3 Wolfwalker, the 4 Mascot. We've got a pretty impressive bench being put together as well.
This board looks too normal. Like, he doesn't really have a 3-cost 3-star, even though he was full win streaking. And he couldn't find a Jhin 2-star as well, too. And if you look at Flancy's board, this is also very normal as well, too. 6 Veins, currently 5 Ribbons. Nothing too special at the moment. We shall see.
We know this is. Let's say that we know this is the board where the Riven will be sharing her shield across, so hitting up that 3-star will be immensely important. But she said the Vayne is looking real good here. We've got a very strong backline. I think this board can get stronger, and Flancy's in a decent position to make it there.
Yeah, but once again, Zephyr from Enzo comes in. The Vayne doesn't really get to play at the very beginning of the round and is going to miss out on that damage to help her team. A little bit too much damage from the other side. We're going to hop on over to Bintum, who's currently on 21 HP. He will find a win against the Yasuo board.
Now, this is usually something that happens when a 2-cost shows up with a 3-cost here. And Ramos 3-star, nice, not bad. Going for a traditional Nico 2-star with Morellos and Statics. We got LeBlanc 3-star with Jewel Goblin Archangels, very classic damage like a combo. But currently no combat augments except for Kimono Grab Bag.
Just a little notification here. We are looking at Bintum's board and not at Shimmerpen. Shimmerpen unfortunately has already been eliminated. A little mistake in our overlay, just letting you know, but here's actually Bintum.
And it's worth noting, of course, because we haven't seen a ton of this weekend, this is going to be aim assist LeBlanc. So whenever she's casting, if she casts enough times, she will send an extra orb, as you see there, towards the lowest HP unit on the opposing board, which means she does have backline access. If you've got a squishy carry, it's always in danger.
Usually the matchup for LeBlanc was slightly unfavored because LeBlanc does have issues getting through the front line, but thankfully the LeBlanc is 3-star and has access to the backline with aim assist, so he does match him in a fight.
A lot of that also comes back to the CC from the Rammus 3 to the Morgana, also helping here. So everybody's kind of being kept in place while the LeBlanc just shoots at them from the backline, making sure she's untouched. And that's exactly how that's supposed to work.
There's a lot of spatulas in this lobby, but the only one that's viable is probably Anima Squads because the other Infinity player has already died, unfortunately. And the other Underground player has already died, unfortunately. So these are the remaining of the atomizations. They're not really that good. Let's see exactly how the players are willing to fold this game. Tech Summer's taking the Infinity Team snap. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, we're going to hop on board with him and see what he's up to. Is running that. Yasuo has gotten a Vayne in the backline and also a Zephyr. We'll pop the Anvil first.
He's wondering if he wants Solaris or Ionics. Actually going for Guinsu, so his Vayne can do more damage. That's a very interesting a choice. He also does save the tier instead of making Archangels. Wonder what plans he has for that.
Salvage bidding it.
Salvage bid makes so much sense. He's looking towards the components more than units themselves. Let's see exactly what atomizations Tech Summers wants to finish with. Shojin Vayne, all right, a classic.
Yeah, that's 8 duelists online, so a ton of attack speed, a ton of tankiness as well to go with that current 1 locket in the front line. We've got ourselves, of course, spinning all the way through the Winds of the Wanderer. Impossible to put down. Tech Summers starts his move towards the top.
Yeah, and you just saw YBY1's board with a Nunu, but it will not be enough. The Nunu got rolled over, and Tech Summers is trying to continue his road here towards the top. However, players are starting to fall. Enzo down to 6 HP, finds that Twisted Fate 2 that he so desperately needed. Flancy finding that Jinx 3 that we just saw, but is that enough to turn it around?
Okay, so Riven 3 just isn't there as of yet.
Okay, YBY1 did manage to find a Vex 3, thankfully before he managed to die, but is this good enough though? Because Vex is actually one of the weaker 3-cost 3-stars, and the front line from like YBY1's side is not that strong. If you look at Enzo's board, he did go for a very normal Aux Force composition, but he's actually behind amongst the reroll decks. We'll have to see how this fight goes.
We will have a lot of bodies on the board to keep that back line safe, mostly relying on the Twisted Fate DPS. The Vex, of course, on the other side from YBY1 is building up. As you noted before, the board isn't fully online as of yet, really relying on her DPS to tear through everything.
But it's not enough. That front line is not being taken down. The Vex in the back line is untouched. The Nico frogs are not jumping far enough, and Enzo is being taken out in 6th. Flancy will follow in 5th, and we have our first top 4 of the day.
So the players that did manage to find their reroll decks, 2-cost 3-stars and 3-cost 3-stars, are currently at an advantage against the players that just could not hit. Setsuko did not hit. Shuriken did hit, but far too late. Flancy could not hit, and Enzo did go for a decent comp, but the composition was just not good enough.
So we got the extra items coming in as we move into stage 6. We did know that we've still got some carries unitemized for a few of our players, so this will be a significant step forward in board strength. You see across, we'll check exactly what everyone's got in store for themselves, because these next few rounds will be all important.
We are looking at all of the boards. Of course, we've seen them throughout the tournament, throughout the round. Here on one side, we have the Laser Corps top left, top right is the Yasuo 3. Bottom left, the LeBlanc carry with the aim assist. And then on the bottom right, we have the player that had the lobby in a little bit of a chokehold, but is seeming to fall off quite a lot now.
Tex Summers did actually manage to get the double Solaris. He has a rod, chainmail, rod, so his composition is complete. All the other players did manage to find most of their upgrades. We shall see how this fight falls, and we shall see which comp is the best.
Well, YBY1 hasn't managed to move things too much further forward. We're going to be empowering the Viego to just be a little bit more of a damage threat. But keep your eye on that LeBlanc in the corner. Again, the aim assist means she can reach all areas of the board. And she's got the Hextech Gunblade as well to deny the damage coming out of Vex. In fact, if anything, it might be making a cast even faster.
Yeah, her Archangel is really charging up now, and she's onto that Vex. YBY1 taken down in fourth, and the rest of the players remain. But Replay took a big hit, is now going closer to the others in total HP. The lobby is so close right now.
I mean, that just shows the difference between Vex 3 and LeBlanc 3. The damage output cannot be compared. LeBlanc does at least 3 times more damage, even though it's the same cost unit, which is slightly unfortunate. Let's see how Tex Summer is going to fight here.
I mean, 3 lockets along with 8 jewels is absolutely absurd. This 2-cost board now has the backline carries really going off as well. I think Bintum's in some pretty major trouble because no one can stop that Yasuo.
Well,
I mean,
what we're gonna see, the LeBlanc is in that backline and she is going to try. Shroud of Stillness did hit, but will it be enough? The Yasuo is still there, does not target the LeBlanc right away. She's onto him. Will she take him down?
Oh!
Does not get her reset and refocuses. Can
LeBlanc!
she do it? Yes, she can.
Just
and Tex Summers will get a loss here.
Oh my gosh, the Hextech Gunblade has just paid so many dividends. With the ultimate duelist board, Tex Summers still can't get it done. Bintum from Korea up the top is win streaking Replay Tex, both on 10.
He's 1 Nila away.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot more shield as well.
1 Nila away, but most of the 3 cost Liga players besides Bintum has died off. So it is going to be Tex Summers just waiting to see if he can find a Nila, but it's mostly about positioning, whether Yasuo gets focused down first or not. Now we're going to see Replay versus Bintum, but right now Replay is just a normal 4-cost 2-star, maybe level 9 to 5 cost Liga deck at the moment. So we shall see which one is the victor here.
It could be a double knockout. Replay and Tex Summers both on 10 HP, but are they going to meet the same board? Does not seem like it. Tex Summers on the other side is meeting the Laser Core, whereas Replay is facing Bintum's LeBlanc once more.
Yeah, that LeBlanc is absolutely amazing. Very much reminding me of the surprise of seeing the Camille before in groups, just performing way above expectations, ripping through the border on the right-hand side. We still got a few more pieces left to remove, but LeBlanc has proven to be unstoppable. Replay gets knocked out. Tex Summers stays alive.
Now it's going to be Tex Summers versus Bintum. 2-cost 3-star reroll deck versus a 3-cost 3-star composition. It's all about positioning. The decks are very similar in battle power. Will LeBlanc cut the Yasuo 3-star first? Will the Yasuo get the value? We shall see.
And we saw both of the players beelining for those Thieves' Gloves to maybe get a little bit of an edge here. 2 full items, just so good. Is going to go with the Sunfire instead for now. But what it's going to come down to is that Zephyr placement, is that Shroud of Stillness. And you are seeing Tex Summer actually sell off the unit that was holding the Zephyr.
Here.
But can he sell something off to actually make that Nila happen?
I think he has to focus on positioning so that he can get the advantage. He just needs to make sure that his Yasuo does not get focused. So as long as Lisa's next to it, we'll have to see how the fight goes.
One more round. Bintum coming back from the previous championship where he failed to make top 8 by a single place. Tex Summers doubting himself through day 2. Now makes top 2. This fight for everything, getting first place in the first game, is absolutely enormous.
And the LeBlanc is still alive. She has found the Yasuo, but he has found her back. The damage is just going out, and it will be an end for Tex Summers and Bintum from Korea taking the first place at the beginning of the day here. That has to be a great feeling coming in.